A $5 super thanks to get things going from Brendan. This is on the Jaire Alexander move. Says thanks for the insights. If Alexander agreed to a contract for only $6 million before the draft, he would have been traded, which I agree with. Alexander only played 14 last 34 games and had knee surgery last year. He is still a gamble. I understand. He is a gamble. I think for $6 million, that's a worthwhile gamble. I love that move for the Ravens. The cost would have been more for Dallas, but clearly it was not going to be the 17 he was owed. So sometimes you win, sometimes you don't. Either way, folks, a $5 super thanks or super chat gets you in to our George Pickens jersey raffle. Get those, anything you want to do, super thanks wise, we'll give you a shout out on the show as well. All right, Austin Carey, a $5 super chat. When the games start, will Pickens and Lamb start to clash over touches and opportunities? Pickens wants to earn a contract, but Lamb is the number one. It's a good question. And if you're winning games, no, I think we'll be fine because winning cures almost everything. If you're not winning games and probably Pickens more so isn't getting involved, then that's how the Pickens crash outs happen. You got to have one of those things at minimum or he's going to be frustrated. So it is a valid concern. I don't think any of us would be shocked if like Pickens has issues again because he's had them before. That's why it was available, obviously. But I also wouldn't presume that it's going to happen no matter what. It's the risk reward you're taking that I think is still a worthwhile risk. Ryder Kincaid, $10. Thank you, Ryder. What would be good enough for us to bring Mazi Smith back as far as production goes? I don't see us bringing him back next unless he has a Pro Bowl caliber season. I think in general, it's kind of tough for nose guards to get into the Pro Bowl unless they put up some big-time Vita Vea-esque numbers. DJ Reader had like 3 sacks and 4 TFLs last year. If you get that from Mazi, but more importantly, the run defense looks better. He's not getting blown off the ball. That's a big deal for me. As of right now, Mazi's on the books for about $4 million next season. That's not very much. The one thing I would say that operates in Mazi's favor, that is a fully guaranteed contract. So he's getting that money no matter what. Now, maybe you find a trade partner. As of right now, there's no chance that 5th-year option gets picked up. They'll make that call, next offseason. I just want to see growth. And if Mazi doesn't take a real step forward this year, he's in another new defensive scheme that's tough on him, but it's the first year he's had like a normal offseason. It was the draft process offseason. It was the shoulder surgery rehab offseason. If he isn't better this year, you got to have no confidence in him. And if you're not placing him on the roster, the starting spot replacement might end up happening. Trevor Shea, speaking of DTs, why'd the Cowboys cut Justin Rogers and get lighter at DT? Look, this is 2 times now the Cowboys have cut Justin Rogers, and it's 2 times with different schemes and different defensive coordinators. I guess they just weren't that high on him. I feel even more confident saying this. The lack of fatties on the interior of this defensive line worries me. Outside of Mazi Smith and Jay Toia, your entire defensive line room is under 310 pounds. Thomas is a 3 technique. Winfrey's listed at 290. Daxon and Tommy Akambaste are like 305. It's a light room. I would still very much like to find a 3 technique or a 1 technique. I would like that. There are not a lot of them available. So, do you agree? Do the Cowboys need another DT? Why for yes and for no? Sound off in the comments of today's show. Lewis, $10. Thank you, Lewis. Is there a possibility we have a 1,000-yard wide receiver duo? Yeah, I think so. I think it's got to be at least 50-50. Like, Lamb is an assumed 1,000-yard wide receiver. Like, for me, he is a top 5 wide receiver. He's too good to not put up that type of production. There's instant chemistry there with him and Dak. It's been impressive. He didn't play entirely last year on 1,000 yards. Like, pencil in, it's going to happen. Pickens has been a 1,000-yard receiver in the past. Maybe his targets dropped a little bit, but that was a pretty run-heavy offense there. He's had 1,000 yards before. He's averaged almost 1,000 yards over the course of his career, so it's tough to get there. It's not always easy. It requires health. That's a big factor. But yeah, I think it's very, very reasonable. Mike, who has more touchdowns this year, Lamb or Pickens? As good as I think George Pickens should be on this team, as good of a fit as he should be on this team, I think the answer is still CeeDee Lamb. In fact, to put this in perspective, every year that George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb have played in the NFL, CeeDee Lamb has doubled the touchdowns that George Pickens has had. Now, different QBs, obviously. I'm going Lamb. Frankie Schneider, which rookie has the biggest impact this year? Not counting Booker. Okay, I think from just watching the games, impact perspective, you've got an argument for Jaydon Blue, just because he's a running back, he's a skill player. You might not feel the impact from other players. I'm going to go with Ezeiruaku, though. I think as a situational pass rusher, might only be a couple times a game. I think you will feel his impact on defense more. I think you could conclude Booker, which I think is the right answer here. But which Cowboys rookie will have the biggest impact in 2025? Daniel. For the Dolphins, could trade Ramsey when the season starts, when there's injury or on someone's roster at Dallas, pick up the phone and just ask what he's worth. The issue with Jalen Ramsey is not the Dolphins' desire to trade him, or even the overall trade value. He's got a $21 million cash owed figure. I don't think teams want to pay that. I think that is the single biggest reason why he is unsigned. That last nine, $21.1 million in cash owed. It's a lot. That limits the market. And for Miami, you're already paying 16.6. You do the trade, you save, bring it down to 10, but then you're eating $18 million next year. That's a lot. And I think the money is the issue here. And we've seen it time and time again from Dallas. That's too much for what they want to pay. Even though it'd be an awesome pick we'd all be hyped about. Cowboys training camp gear is available. Also kind of the sideline gear. It's the same. Hats, bucket hats. Big fan of those for cutting the grass. Visors. I'll have to get one for I'm assuming Halloween, someone's going to make me dress up as Schottenheimer. Got to have that. Got to add a tattoo on my forearm too at some point. Maybe I'll just do it in Sharpie. Just etch it out. T-shirts, hoodies as well. Chatsports.com/CowboysCamp. Links in the comments and the description of today's show. From Mike again. I think Donovan Ezeiruaku will end up becoming an elite pass rusher in the league. Depends on how you define elite, but I'm a big fan of his game. Ezeiruaku, it's been a while since the Cowboys just drafted the best or second best or third best, whatever player on my board. And that's what happened with Ezeiruaku. He reminds me a lot of Harold Landry. This is a guy that got 3 technique reps in 2022 for BC for some unknown reason. He had a 14% pressure rate, which is just fantastic production there. He is undersized. I thought he was a clear-cut top 30 player. You got him in round 2. I don't think, he's not going to be a Micah, but, he could be a Harold Landry fringe Pro Bowler, which is an elite second-round pick. Now, if you want more free Dallas Cowboys YouTube videos, hit that sub button right now. Italian Sausage 17. How has Jaydon Blue looked? How has he been looking, so far in camp? Overall, fine. I'm not going to read too much into it. It's mini camp. It's OTAs. There's no pads. He's shown some explosiveness. He got to work with the twos. That's good. He's never going to be a full-time featured back. Shoddy himself said, basically, ignore the back. There's nothing to glean from it. There's no contact. There's no pads. Unless you look slow, which Jaydon Blue does not because he's fast, there's not much to really learn at that spot. Daniel, did you hear what Diggs said And I said, this is our year. We have to start fooling ourselves on this. This team is not good enough. This is unacceptable. So, counterpoint. I don't ever want my players to think anything else. I don't ever want my players to believe anything other than we can do this. Because the second they don't believe that, it's over. You are cooked. Game over. You're not doing anything. Your players have to believe, even if it is delusional. Your players have to believe that the guys in that building are good enough. So I don't want to hear anything else from my staff, from my players. Even if they are wrong, the answer has to be, we can make this happen. We have faith. We have belief. Because once you don't have that, you're winning 5 games. From Cruz, if Shotty doesn't work out, are he and Dak gone? This is my concern. And this is why, I don't like the bet that was made. I think it's a real possibility. If you get 3 years from now and the team's bad, then you can move on from both guys, especially the QB contract. And that's why I didn't like just going with Schottenheimer, because I think attaching those 2 guys was kind of a weird bet to me. Now, I think there's a scenario in which, for example, both sides, Dak's injuries remain the case, and it's shit. Now, what's my deepest, darkest fear for this team? Well, it's tough to judge Schottenheimer then, right? Or it's Dak stays healthy, but it's very clear the head coach is outmatched. He is not the guy. And it's can you blame the QB for that? But then you're at the end of Dak's career, and it's you already gambled on Shotty. Do you want to risk Garretting yourself? So I would not be surprised if 3, 4, whatever years you go, okay, time to move on from both and actually rebuild. That's what I want to do. I don't want to do this nonsense of trying to win 8 games every year, actually tear it down if we get to that point. So be honest. What is your confidence level in Brian Schottenheimer? 1 to 10 is your scale. Lewis, in my opinion, Pickens is the biggest off-season acquisition. I agree. With red zone inefficiency being one of our biggest busts last year, do you feel that the Pickens will have a huge success in that category? I hope so. I think his skill set fits pretty well. He also didn't score much in Pittsburgh, and I think to an extent, red zone is almost as much on your schematic play calling as it is the players. If they can just go make the end zone fade work, sweet. I actually kind of hate the end zone fade as a play call. It doesn't work nearly as much. But you got to get some space, got to scheme some guys open. At times, I feel like the play calls themselves are a bigger impact. But he should help the red zone. Absolutely.